He was a beloved math teacher in Sevier County, a trusted neighbor, and a loyal friend. That's why it's so hard for many to understand why Dan Blalock was brutally beaten. In tonight's Appalachian Unsolved, 10 News anchor Brittany Bailey shares what the victim himself was able to share with investigators before he took his final breath.
A jolly person. He was always happy.
Dan Blalock was loved by family, friends, and by his longtime neighbors Don and Patsy Farmer.
Everybody loved Dan.
And Blalock loved his Sevier County community right back, dedicating years of his life to teaching math, always making time to listen to a baseball game, and proudly still receiving mail at his childhood home just down the street from the Farmers.
They love him. This whole community loves him. We were all so saddened that he had to go that way.
Sevier County 911, was your emergency?
It was August 12th, 2023, when Dan Blalock made this call for help.
I found that they can't get out.
Okay. Are you hurt, needing an ambulance, or just help up?
I need help up, and I don't think I need help.
It turns out he would need much more than that. Blalock didn't fall. He was attacked so severely he was sent straight to the hospital.
Once we walked in that room, we were shocked at how bad he looked, with his face all swollen and black, and we stood there for several minutes in shock. We couldn't believe somebody could do that to a gentle soul, especially an elderly man.
Stacy Payne with East Tennessee Valley Crime Stoppers says this case has stumped investigators and the community.
Why? Why did this man who gave so much time and energy to his community help so many kids throughout the years? Why was he attacked?
They couldn't answer the why, but they got so close to answering the who, thanks to Dan Blalock himself.
I leaned over the bed and I said, "Who would do this to you?" And he said, "Oh, I know who did it to me." And I said, "You do? Who?" And he said, "It was I've seen him a couple of times at my neighbor's house 2 doors down." And but said, "Right now I just can't think of his name."
That key piece of info gave the Farmers some hope, and their friend seemed on his way to recovery. But on November 8th, nearly 3 months after the attack, Blalock died from his injuries.
Just so sudden, just kind of like shock, been in shock for a while.
To say that's a sad occurrence and what happened was just beyond, there's not enough words.
There is another sad twist to this story. For the past decade or so, Dan Blalock had lived with his sister Annie. It was her Sevierville home where he was attacked, even though Annie was in a nursing home by then. But after the attack and her brother's death, Annie also died just 3 months later. The Blalock family now blames Dan Blalock's killer for taking both loved ones.
It's just so sad. They loved each other so much. We're so close. For it to have to end this way, for no reason, no real reason.
The Farmers say they know the motive was not robbery. Dan Blalock had $1,000 in cash still in his wallet when he was attacked. And investigators say while they do have some leads, some pieces of the puzzles are still missing, so they need your help.
We've all had our grandparents, our parents, and if you can just put yourself in that position of what if this happened to one of them? Wouldn't you want somebody to come forward?
If you have any information about the attack on Dan Blalock, you can call East Tennessee Valley Crime Stoppers at the number on your screen.